Hello, good morning and good afternoon to those joining us from Europe. This is Eric Basier. I'm Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Quantum. And today we're going to be talking about our refreshed surveillance portfolio. The presentation itself is actually just loading, so we'll give it a quick minute and I'll get started in the meantime. So we made this announcement at the end of March where we have actually kind of dramatically expanded our portfolio of solutions for surveillance and physical security. And as many of you know, especially as you've been attending some of these ongoing webinars from Quantum, our perspective on the market, and I think I'll start just by talking about that. There is a broad consensus and many different analyst research, et cetera, that is indicating that 80% of the data on the planet over the next few years is going to be video and video-like data. Quantum, here at Quantum, this is our focus. Some different analysts, some different industry influencers, et cetera, also refer to this as unstructured data. But of course, in the realm of surveillance, we are actually talking about video data. And many of you know that surveillance cameras are now the #1 data generator on the planet. Video as a type of data is somewhat unique. It's unique in the performance that it requires, and especially when it comes to surveillance camera and the recording and the capturing of that data, it requires high speed and high performance, highly available and resilient solutions due to the nature of the workloads and the nature of the work that's being done. Here at Quantum, we've taken our many years of expertise in the high-speed processing and capture of video data, and we've taken that expertise and applied it to this new portfolio of surveillance and physical security solutions. But we've also designed these products specifically for this market and these use cases with these requirements in mind. The slides should be up and there now, so you should be seeing them. As I said, 80% of the world's data is going to be video and unstructured data. And when we think about surveillance in particular, we are seeing the role of surveillance starting to change a little bit. Not only is it about security and loss prevention, but also some of these different types of businesses are using surveillance as part of this, some people may call this the IoT or Internet of Things, but as a way to gain insights into their business, as a way to maybe streamline certain processes within their operation, right, such as queues at an airport and some different things. So, not only is the surveillance footage about security, but it's increasingly becoming ways to drive business insights and gain competitive edge in some areas. Now, we see that there's a need for surveillance and analytics everywhere. Almost every industry is dealing with it, and I think you'll see that the portfolio that we've designed, we now can offer solutions for any of these types of deployments for surveillance, and really at any size and at any scale. Some of the customers we have to date, stadiums, hospitals, and healthcare clinics, some of the world's largest airports, their surveillance archives are stored and protected on Quantum. Shopping malls and retail centers, and then, smart city and safe city projects around the world. So I think, again, we really see the growing need for surveillance everywhere. Camera resolutions are increasing. And in many cases, the retention times are increasing because companies want to, and security departments want to retain that surveillance footage for repurposing or for analytics. So surveillance cameras are resolution of the cameras is increasing, and the retention times are increasing. So on March 26th, we announced an expanded surveillance portfolio. For the last several years, we've been positioning our shared and archive storage portfolio in surveillance. And last year at ISC West, we announced what we called our VS HCI series, which is really for multiple physical security workloads. On March 26th, we broadened our portfolio as shown here with the addition of a new line of NVRs, the Quantum VS NVR series. These are high-performance, cost-effective network video recording servers. We've built out our VS HCI series with a couple of different models, and we've added a series of analytics and application servers purpose-built for the workloads that are very common in surveillance. For example, object recognition, surveillance analytics, and even access control systems and building management systems. When you put this all together, Quantum can now offer the broadest physical security infrastructure portfolio available from any single supplier. I think this is especially relevant for those of you out there who are integrators. We've designed this product line for surveillance and physical security workloads. So we've, many of the other solutions out there were storage products that were designed for some type of a data center workload. And we've actually tried to really tune these to work with the recording and management workloads that are put on these systems by the video management system or VMS application. And as a result, we can provide very high performance, and do that in a very cost-effective way. So I'd like to get into each one of these and spend a bit of time on each. I've already got one question on chat, which is great. So please use that chat function, and we'll get those questions as we go through the presentation. So first, let's get into the NVR series. So this is the VS NVR series. By the way, all of these products are on the Quantum website now, and I would encourage you to go out to our webpage, quantum.com, and look under video surveillance. You'll be able to look at all of the specifications of all of these, so I won't be going into all those details today. Our line of NVRs spans everywhere from a small mini tower form factor shown on the left, all the way up to a 4U 60 drive system, which is the most dense NVR on the market today, I believe, and really ideal for long retention times. I'll spend a little bit more time on that product because we're definitely getting a lot of excitement and interest on that. The mini tower would be ideal for kind of a small location, maybe a gas station or small retail chain, ideal for maybe 5 to 30 cameras, obviously depending on resolution, frame rate, motion, and all that. We have a 1U server that you can see the kind of where that would fit there, and then the 4U 60 drive. This should really be for maybe hundreds of cameras here. We've tested and kind of characterized this for around 400 cameras at 2 meg and 30 frames a second. And then really for retention times, given the capacity that we have, this can actually retain that footage for much more than 90 days. And I'll show you some of the specifications of that. So again, we've designed these to be just high performance, cost effective, very easy to deploy. And in the future, we'll be adding the ability to monitor the health of these NVRs remotely using a web-based portal. I think that's something that's pretty unique in this segment of the market, and look for more of that in the coming months when we announce it. All of these are backed by Quantum global service and support and global logistics capabilities, as with all of our products. Now, I wanted to spend a bit of time on this what we call our VS4160 NVR. This is a 4U 60 drive server, so very dense, and can have up to, I think, about 800 terabytes of raw capacity. I'll show that on one of the next slides. But you can kind of see the front and back of this one. The front is just showing a close-up of the control panel. The back that you can see, we've got redundant power supplies, the connectivity, and some of the different graphics of the some of the drive bays and that. Again, all of this material is out on our web, and I know that if you do have questions on the specifications of any of these, I'd encourage you to go check out the data sheets of all of these products. Because of the capacity and density of this particular product, we are finding that for some deployments and some opportunities that we're in where maybe the prospect was looking at even an HCI cluster, because we can store so much capacity on this single server, we could actually just deploy an NVR to meet the needs both from a recording and capture standpoint as well as a retention standpoint, and it makes it a much simpler solution to deploy. So I wanted to kind of specifically highlight this VS4160 NVR. And by the way, we're now using that same server hardware build for our HCI product line, but in that case, we load our HCI software on it, and I'm going to talk about that next. So that's our NVR product line. Again, getting a lot of traction around this so far, and these products are all shipping this quarter at the end of this month. Now to talk about the VS HCI series. We've got a couple questions about this already, so I'll spend some time on the software itself. This is really designed for one platform to host and run multiple physical security workloads. That's really kind of where I would think about the difference between this versus an NVR. And in many cases, we are finding we can actually deploy either a single NVR or multiple NVRs to kind of meet the needs of what people require. But let's talk more about the HCI product line. So there's two questions on this. One is, does your HCI product line use VMware or is it purpose-built? And then how do we get support for it? And then the second question is it true HCI? So let me kind of talk about both of those questions through this slide. So our VS HCI series actually uses a quantum HCI platform that we have developed. We don't use VMware, we don't use other platforms out there, and we have actually designed it for this workload. So this diagram and a bit of what I'll be talking about here comes from a technical brief that is on our VS HCI series web page. If you'd like to read more about how this works, I would encourage you to go check that out, download the tech brief, and it should answer your questions. So basically, our HCI platform software runs on these servers. I will show you these server models in a minute. And we can deploy this in a cluster where, for example, here what's shown is we would have two different servers, for example, two different 4U 60 drive servers. We're doing a few things with the software and with the hardware to provide layers of redundancy. Okay, so first, within each server, we have some of the things that give high levels of redundancy, such as redundant hot swap fans, redundant power supplies, and we even use RAID 6 protection. So that's kind of within the server itself. In terms of server to server, our software has, we have some VM and cluster monitoring software that is looking at the VMs that are running on this HCI platform. So the VMs would be something like the VMS management server and the recording servers as an example of those, right? So we're monitoring that. If one of these servers goes down, we are able to fail over those VMs from one server to another server so that, as called out on this slide, the loss of one of these servers in a cluster does not stop the recording or the management. Now, we're also showing here at the bottom that effectively what we're doing is we're using synchronous replication to replicate or copy the RAID volumes at the, while in addition to kind of being able to fail over the VMs. So someone asked a question, is this VS HCI solution true HCI? I think that some of the other HCI products out there or that have been out in the market use I would call a shared storage pool across all of the cluster of servers. We're actually not doing that. That is something we may do on our roadmap, but at this point, what we've designed is really what I'm shown here, which is we're replicating the RAID volumes between the servers. Now, that actually has a performance advantage for video recording and management workloads as the architecture itself scales out. With those shared storage deployments, one of the downsides of that is as that shared storage pool grows in other kind of HCI products, it can affect the performance. So we've tried to architect this in a way where we won't run into that issue. I've got, and so that's our HCI series software. Now this comes with our VS HCI series product line. We will also free install certified VMS applications. Right now, these are certified with Milestone and will very shortly be certified with Genetec as well. So if you're using Milestone or Genetec, we've certified with those, and then we've got some others right behind them. But yeah, the idea with this product line would be not only run the high-speed block storage software that Quantum's designed that gives that kind of very high-speed recording, but also host the VMS infrastructure. Let's see, a couple other questions on this, which are good. Question about the servers. So let's talk about that, and then I'll handle another of these other couple questions on the HCI product line. So these are the two VS HCI series models. We have a 2U rack mount server with 24 hard drives. You can see that with 12 terabyte hard drives, this would be up to 240 terabyte usable, or with 16 terabyte hard drives, we get up to 320 terabyte usable. And then the 4U 60 drive server with 16 terabyte hard drives, we get up to 800 terabytes of usable capacity in a single server. And I want to go back to, hopefully this isn't confusing, but I want to go back to where we talked about our NVR product line. We actually use the same server model for that. So our 4160 NVR product can also get up to 800 terabyte usable, which gives a huge amount of capacity for those, for the retention of the footage that's being recorded. Question about someone's basically saying what kind of servers are these, and actually asking if these are Dell servers. So these are not Dell servers. These are from a different server vendor that we source these from. And again, in the HCI series, it's running our software stack. Question about, can we add storage without compute? Not today. Today, we scale these out with, by adding these servers to a cluster. In the future, we are looking at being able to scale up each of these server nodes with expansion disk or JBODs. And then question about if we're losing, I'll come back to that one, another question that I'll get to at the end about archiving. So, okay, good. So very high speed performance. We provide that failover capability that I talked about. So we're providing that high level of redundancy and resiliency with the HCI series. And then, the ability to run and host multiple physical security workloads is really the benefit of this. We will, we're looking at different options that we have for a true shared storage architecture, and stay tuned as we build these out. But so that's kind of that's the NVR series, and that's the VS HCI series. And the last couple of products we've built out, and I'll kind of try to bring this together at the end, but in the last few months, we've introduced 2 different types of servers that are purpose-built for surveillance and physical security workloads. The first one is called the VS1110A, actually a pretty interesting product that we've developed for access control and building automation systems that require a very high level of availability. So similar to our VS HCI series, we can actually deploy these application servers in a pair, and we can actually fail over VMs. So if you're running a building automation system, or if you're running an access control application on this server and you need it to be available all the time, we can actually provide that same failover capability similar to what we do with our VS HCI series. And then the second product, I talked at the beginning about the growing use of video analytics. And here we now have what we call our VS2108A. This is a 2U, very dense GPU-based appliance for video analytics. Obviously, because we're using those GPU cards, we've got that parallelism that's really required and demanded by those high-performance video analytics applications, for example, such as BriefCam, AnyVision, and others. And again, kind of deployed as part of these larger surveillance deployments that we're talking about here. So these 2 products are also available and on our web. So I encourage you to check them out and look them out. And then last but not least, a couple of questions pertaining to this as I've been going through this. So for very, very large shared storage and archive deployments, we have a combination of products and solutions we can deploy. And this is something that we've been offering for several years. This is showing a use case of that, and this is really using a combination of our StorNext file system with our new, or not new, but with the ActiveScale object storage that we recently acquired from Western Digital. In this use case, the VMS servers are actually doing the nearline recording and playback off of some other servers that are maybe not necessarily part of our solution, but where the VMS application has the ability to make an archival copy, that archival copy is really sent to StorNext, which is a file interface. StorNext then can move that data to an object store. So in this use case, StorNext actually acts as almost a file gateway in front of a massive scale object store. For those that are familiar with object storage, one of the things that makes ActiveScale unique is the ability to scale to tens and even hundreds of petabytes across multiple systems, the ability to manage that very easily at that scale, and the ability to deploy a system across multiple sites so that there is that site protection and protection against kind of localized disasters for the archive, for the surveillance archive. We have this deployed at one of the world's largest airports for their archive. And one of the things we've done over the years is we've actually done some integration with our StorNext file system and Milestone as one example, where we've actually tuned the way we can kind of archive content and kind of prefetch it back and retrieve it from the archive. So we've got a little bit of integration that we've done with the VMS applications. This would really be for those archives that are in the tens of petabytes, maybe even the 50 or more petabytes, hundreds of petabytes. This is really the solution that we would start to recommend for that archive. So got some good questions coming in, and I'll take those in a minute. So hopefully when lastly before I close, I just wanted to touch on this ability that we have across many of our products to monitor the health of these systems remotely. And this is using a web-based portal that we call Quantum CDA, or Cloud-Based Analytics. The way that this works is that the products themselves, when they're deployed, they have an agent that comes with the product. When you turn that on, we will be sending the telemetry and kind of system health information up to a server that can then be accessed anywhere, from a mobile device, from a workstation, wherever you might be, and it will allow you to monitor system health. We find that this is incredibly valuable, especially where the surveillance recording infrastructure, might be, down in a basement, or, might not be somewhere that's easily accessible. So this really gives you the ability to monitor our products remotely using this secure web-based portal. This is available on our VSHCI products. It is available on our file and object store products. And we will be announcing later this year that it is that it will be available on our NVR series of network video recorder products as well. So I just wanted to do a quick explanation of what this is, and we'll be talking more about this as we go forward as well. And so lastly, if I kind of just bring this all together, we've dramatically expanded our portfolio. We now have a line of NVR products. We've built out our line of HCI products, and we have the solutions we can provide for large-scale shared and archive storage between the combination of our StorNext file system and ActiveScale object store. When you bring this all together, I think it makes a compelling kind of case for us in this market. We have decades of storage leadership. We've taken a lot of our R&D expertise when it comes to high-speed video capture and processing. We've been able to apply that to building a portfolio of surveillance solutions that have very high performance while being cost-effective. And we've also taken our years of expertise thinking about storage and data protection to be able to design some of these unique capabilities that we have in terms of the highly available nature of some of the products we discussed. One of the things I didn't talk about very much is, for all the products I mentioned, we are using the latest generation server hardware. I think that's important because as an integrator or as an end user, when you make an investment in these products, you'll get the longest life cycle on that product, and as such, get a better return on your investment. Quantum, of course, we have a global presence for support, tens of thousands of customers under contract around the world, 24/7, 365 support. And we've designed all these products to be easy to implement, manage, and maintain. So especially for you integrators out there listening, we think we can be that one go-to supplier for any of your solutions for physical security products. And for some of you, facilities managers, security directors that are out there, I guess I would just say, for any, regardless of the size of your deployment, regardless of how much, how many cameras you have deployed, we now have a solution that we can design to fit your needs. So that's the expanded portfolio. And thank you, everybody, very much. With that, we did get a few more questions that are coming in on chat, and so I will go to answer those. And if anyone has any other questions, please let me know. I would encourage everybody to go to our webpage, quantum.com, check out all of the new data sheets and the new webpage content for these products if you have any more questions about the specifications or the capabilities. So one question I think pertains to the HCI product, and it's basically saying, would we lose archived footage if we have a failure? The recording and the footage itself is all stored on hard drives in the server, okay? So that would kind of be where the archive would be stored in that example. Again, within a server, you've got RAID 6 protection, so if we lose a hard drive, we can rebuild that and recover for it. And because we're doing that synchronous replication of the volumes, if you were to lose a server, you would not lose the data that was stored on that server if it had been replicated. So hopefully that answers the question, meaning you use the word archive, but I think you mean any of the footage that's been recorded and that's being retained on that server. We would fail all of that over. Question of, is there an NFS to S3 interface to attach to the cloud object storage? Answer to that is yes. We accomplish that via our StorNext file system, which provides that file interface. StorNext provides CIFS or NFS access, as well as a native file system client. But in many cases here, we'd use NFS. The ActiveScale Object Store also has a, I would say, a basic NFS presentation that we can use, and depending on the workload of the archive and depending on your needs, we could also recommend that. But that's something that one of our solution architects can help with. What we've seen with these very large deployments is we typically use StorNext as the file gateway to the cloud object storage. Let's see. Question about, we're coming into a market that's, there are a lot of players out there. We recognize that. I think we are, I think what we're doing is we're kind of coming in at a time where we can use a lot of the expertise we've built up over the years in some of these other really demanding environments with dealing with high-speed video ingest processing. And we've applied that technical expertise to build this portfolio. I know that this particular question mentions one HCI competitor by name, and kind of they didn't have the best experience with this competitive product. Our architecture is different, and this kind of goes back to, there was a question about, is it just talking more about the HCI architecture here. We have tried to design this in such a way that there should be a better experience when it comes to surveillance workloads. The other thing I would just make a comment on that we're kind of seeing in real time is, I know in speaking with one of our solution architects that because of the capacity of that 4U 60 drive NVR, as I said earlier, in some cases we're finding that can actually meet the needs without dealing with the some of the I guess I would say some of the additional complexity that comes with an HCI cluster deployment. I mean, there can be some gotchas associated with that. And I don't know. So I think we're going to bring our expertise and the expertise we've built up working in this market over the last 4 or 5 years. And I think we have a really compelling portfolio now. So last question. How do we get projects quoted? That is a great question. We will reach out to you and put you in touch with our team who can work with you on getting projects quoted. So we, as folks that have registered for this webinar, will be able to get in touch with you. So, and I think I was just kind of working to come back to this particular kind of portfolio view. But yeah, just to the question of our portfolio, I mean, as I look at this now, between the NVR product line, the HCI product line where it's needed, and then a couple of these, analytics and application servers that can fit kind of a purpose-built, workload related to surveillance, and then our shared archive storage, I think we now have a portfolio that we can kind of, design the right solution for you based on what your needs are, regardless of scale. And I'm pretty excited about this as we head into this spring here. So I think I've answered all the questions. Hopefully I answered all the questions. And as always, I would love to get feedback on these. You can expect that we'll continue to do some additional educational webinars on this as we go forward. And I appreciate everybody's time and interest. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day.